If you don't mind just kind of facing me and raise your right hand. Thank you. You solemnly state that the testimony you may give in the cause and opinion before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I did.
Will you please take a seat in the witness stand? You can adjust the microphone there and state and spell your name.
Kirk Anderson, KIRKANDERSON.
Before you go on, I forgot to mention this to you. The clock on the wall is getting worse. Yesterday it was like 4 minutes off. Now it's about 7 minutes off. So we're not going by that clock. I got a wristwatch. We'll go by the wristwatch. And I have 10 minutes before.
About 5 wolf.
What?
Only about 5 wolf, right?
It's still it's misleading. So we're going to go by, and I'm sure all your watches synchronize our watches. 10 minutes to 11. All right, go ahead.
Thank you. Sir, would you start by telling the jury who you work for?
I work for Los Angeles Police Department.
And how long have you been a police officer for?
A little over 9 years.
Which station were you working at in November of 2021?
Hollywood Police Station.
And on November 8th, 2021 specifically, were you working that day?
Yes.
What was your assignment that day at Hollywood Police Station?
I was working the front desk.
What does that mean when you say working the front desk?
It's a patrol assignment to the desk where people come in and you take reports and help citizens out.
Would that literally mean you're sitting at kind of the front desk in the lobby of the police station?
Correct.
And the people that you're talking about you take reports from, would those be citizens that walk in off the street to report crimes to you at the desk?
Yes.
On November 8th, 2021, did you interview a man by the name of Terell Ephron?
Yes, I did.
And how is it that you came to interview him that day?
He walked into the lobby of the police station.
When he came in, was he alone or was he with anyone else?
He said he was with a lawyer. There was a man in a suit that was with him.
It's not just that he told you he was with a lawyer, you also saw this man wearing a suit.
Yes.
Okay. And if you can tell the jury broadly, what was it that Mr. Ephron was there to report?
He said he was a victim of a shooting and that he was shot by a known celebrity by the name of APRocky.
In addition to tell you that the person who had shot him was APRocky, did he tell you that person's true or legal name?
Yes, he did.
And what was that name that he gave?
Rakim Mayers.
Did Mr. Ephron tell you how it was that he knew Mr. Mayers?
He said they'd known each other for about 15 years, and he was part of a group called ASAP Mob.
When you say he told you that, was that Mr. Ephron telling you that only Mr. Mayers was part of it, or that both of them were part of that group?
That both of them were part of it.
Before we get to actual shooting that Mr. Ephron told you about, did Mr. Ephron tell you about anything that happened just prior to the shooting between him and Mr. Mayers?
Ephron said that he heard that APRocky was talking bad about him over the cell phone, and that was the day prior to the shooting.
Did Mr. Ephron tell you that he specifically heard the defendant talking bad about him, or that he heard about the defendant talking bad about him?
He heard about the defendant talking about him.
So did he tell you that he heard words coming out of the defendant's mouth?
Objection to the leading, Your Honor. Foundational. Repeat. Objection to the leading. Foundation.
I don't recall specifically.
Did you document it in your report?
I did.
Would it refresh your memory to look at your report?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Your Honor. Almost bad habit. I'm going to distract your attention. Does that refresh your memory to what Mr. Ephron told you?
Yes.
And did he tell you that he specifically heard Mr. Mayers talking bad about him, or that he heard about Mr. Mayers talking bad about him?
He stated that he heard Mr. Mayers was talking bad about him.
Okay. Did he give you any more information about how it was that he overheard that information?
He did not.
What did Mr. Ephron tell you that he did after he heard Mr. Mayers talking bad about him?
He sent a text message to a friend that he said APRocky was being fake.
And did Mr. Ephron tell you that that friend was a mutual friend of theirs or just his own personal friend?
I believe it was a mutual friend.
Okay. Did Mr. Ephron tell you where this encounter or incident first took place?
Yes, 6200 Hollywood Boulevard.
Are you at all familiar with 6200 Hollywood Boulevard?
I've driven by there. It's a major intersection area.
Is 6200 Hollywood Boulevard, is that a very large building in Hollywood?
Yes,
Takes up almost an entire city block, correct?
correct.
Did Mr. Ephron narrow down for you where at that building their initial encounter took place?
They said it was at the driveway.
Any more detail about what the driveway either led into?
I believe it was a parking garage.
Okay. Did Mr. Ephron tell you when that meeting at the parking lot took place in reference to when the phone call was that he overheard where Mr. Mayers was talking bad about him?
Yes, the following day on November 6th at 10 p.m. is when they met in the driveway.
So, if I understand what you're saying correctly, Mr. Ephron said he overheard this phone call, then the very next day is when the driveway incident took place?
Yes.
All right. Did he give you any specific date, day, or time when that meeting at the parking lot took place?
Yes, 10 p.m.
Do you remember the date?
November 6th.
And do you remember what day of the week that was?
I don't.
Would you have documented it in your report?
I don't believe the specific day is documented.
But November 6th of 2021?
Yes.
What did Mr. Ephron tell you when he occurred when he first got to that parking garage?
So when he got there, he saw APRocky, and he saw two mutual friends of his and APRocky. One he said name was ASAP Ills, and the other one I believe goes by the name of 12E.
Did he tell you that those two men, Ills and 12E, were with Mr. Mayers?
Yes.
Okay, and then what was the next thing that he told you happened?
He said from about 5 to 10 feet away, APRocky pulled out a black handgun from his waistband and told him, "What's up now, pussy?"
Okay. What did he tell you happened immediately after that?
He then pointed the handgun at Ephron and said, "I will kill you right now," approximately 2 to 3 times.
And then what did he tell you happened after that?
ASAP Ills and 12E tried to intervene and de-escalate the situation, and they all walked over together to the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar.
Did he tell you who, if anyone, was the first person to walk away?
They were in front of him when they were walking to that location.
When you say they, who are you talking about?
APRocky, ASAP Ills, and 12E.
All right. And what did Mr. Ephron tell you he did after that first altercation at the parking garage?
Once they got to the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar, he said APRocky turned around and fired approximately 3 to 4 shots at Ephron.
Okay. Before we get there, I want to go back to the parking garage really quickly. Did Mr. Ephron tell you at any point that the defendant specifically pointed the handgun at him?
Yes.
He told you, or yes, that? What did he tell you with regard to that?
After he said, "What's up, pussy?" he pointed the handgun, and he stated, "I will kill you right now."
Okay. That was when you, okay, thank you. Where again did he tell you that the rounds were fired?
At the area of Selma and Vista Del Mar.
And how many shots did he tell you he believed were fired?
Approximately 3 to 4.
Did he tell you whether he was struck by any of the gunfire?
Yes, he said he was struck in his left hand knuckles area.
When he walked into the police station, you had a chance to observe him, obviously, correct?
Yes.
Could you see any injury to his left hand knuckle area?
I did see an injury to his hand knuckles.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I previously marked as People 17. You recognize what you see there?
Yes,
And does that appear consistent with the injuries that you saw to Mr. Ephron
it
on
does.
November 8th? And you said that was to which of his hands?
His left hand.
Okay. After the gunshots were fired, what did Mr. Ephron tell you happened next?
He said he ran off one direction, and APRocky and others ran off another direction.
Where did Mr. Ephron tell you that he went?
Eventually, he made his way back to his hotel, the Lowe's Hotel in Hollywood.
Okay. What, if anything, did he tell you he did after he got to his hotel?
After he got to the hotel, he said approximately an hour later, he came back to the scene of Selma and Vista Del Mar, and he said he collected 2 casings off the ground.
Did he tell you at all about documenting where he observed those 2 cartridge casings?
Yeah, he provided a photo of the casings on the street.
Did he actually show you a photo?
Yes.
Okay. You said Mr. Ephron told you this happened on November 6th, but he was reporting it to you on November 8th, correct?
Yes.
Did you ask him specifically why he waited to the 2 days to report this to you?
He said he wanted to have a lawyer with him.
Did you ask what state he was living in at the time you were talking to him?
I don't recall.
Direct you to the top cover page of your report if that assists you in refreshing your recollection.
Yes.
What state did he say he was living?
New York?
And did you ask him specifically why he was in Los Angeles at the time?
I don't recall.
Okay. You said that Mr. Ephron, at the time he walked into the police station on November 8th, he had 2 fired cartridge cases with him, correct?
Yes, he did.
Can you describe that in more detail for the jury?
It was 2 steel casings. It said 9mm Luger on each of them.
How did he have it?
It was in a black plastic bag.
Okay. And did he physically give them to you?
He gave me the plastic bag, and I took them out of the plastic bag.
What did you do with them after you received them?
It was booked as evidence, so I put them inside of an evidence envelope, and then I sealed it and wrote the information on the envelope.
When you say you booked it as evidence, what is that? Can you just describe for the jury what exactly that means?
So it gets sealed up. I write my name on the envelope. I write the contents inside of the envelope. Then it gets assigned a DR number, which is specific to this case. And then it goes inside of for at Hollywood Police Station, it goes inside of a closet where we store all the evidence.
Do you seal it before you store it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to mark my next exhibit, Your Honor, 32. If it can just be labeled as envelope and its content.
Yes.
And I'm going to write 32 on the front, in the bottom right-hand corner on this envelope. Well, just mine. I'm going to show you first the envelope and ask if you recognize what we see here.
Yes.
And what is this?
This is the envelope for where I seal the casings. That's the information I wrote on it.
Okay, and this would actually be the envelope you filled out that night, correct?
Correct.
It has your name on it, correct?
Yes.
And your badge or serial number?
Yes.
Okay. You said the date is on there, correct?
Correct.
And a description of the contents, correct?
Yes.
You also mentioned this number at the top right that's labeled DR number.
Yes.
Is that number that we see there 2106-18784?
It is.
Is that number unique within LAPD to this case specifically?
Yes, specifically just this case.
So there will be no other case in LAPD that also utilizes that?
Correct.
All right. Now, in addition to that number, the DR number that unique to this case, do you also assign a separate number to the items that you are receiving? Like an item number?
I don't understand.
Sure. When you book something into evidence, let's take more generally. In any case, would you agree with me that you or other people working on the case may, over the course of the case, book multiple items under one case number or DR number, correct?
Correct.
So let's say on the first day you collect one item and you book it, and on the second day you collect another item and you book that second item. Would the first item that you collect be booked as item number 1 under that DR number?
Yes, it would.
And then on the next day when you collect another item, would that be booked as item number 2 under this same DR number?
Yes.
Okay. When you did that in this case, what number did you assign to the casings that Mr. Ephron provided to you?
Item number 1.
So both casings would be item number 1, correct?
Yes.
Now, once you go through that whole process that you talked about, receiving the item, packaging it, putting it in the envelope, sealing it, where does it go?
It goes in our evidence closet, and then the next day the evidence employee takes it and puts it in the evidence room.
Does it go to something within LAPD called the property division?
Yes.
And is it held there until it's needed at any time in the future?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to open the envelope, if you would. Do you have a knife or any way of opening it? Underneath.
Wait, let's pull it open.
Use a knife. I want to do it cleanly. agree with me that inside of the larger envelope, there's a smaller envelope?
Yes.
Okay. And it has a number 1 on it, correct?
Correct.
And it has the same unique DR number on it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, can I borrow the knife one more time? Okay. Officer Anderson, I'll put them on the Elmo here. One. Now, do these appear similar to the cartridge cases that you received that night?
Yes, they do.
Do you specifically remember exactly the cartridge cases that were given to you?
Yes,
You do. And are these those same exact cartridge cases?
they are.
Okay. Are you familiar with what's called a head stamp on a cartridge case?
I'm not.
You're not. Are you familiar with kind of the words that are written on the back of the cartridge case?
Yes.
And in this case, what caliber of ammunition would these cartridge cases be?
9mm.
9mm Luger?
Yes.
Okay. So these are the same cartridge casings that Mr. Ephron brought to you that you packaged up and booked into property division, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I got nothing else, Your Honor. I'm gonna, just for the record, I'm gonna put them back in the smaller envelope, and then I'm gonna put the smaller envelope back into the larger.
All right. Who wants to question Officer Anderson? All right. See you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Officer Anderson.
Good morning.
We've never spoken before, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as a law enforcement officer, when you're interviewing someone making a complaint, you want to make sure your report is as complete and accurate as possible, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's because you understand that the report may be relied upon in the future at hearings or a trial like this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, on November 8th, 2021, you said you were working at the front desk at the Hollywood Police Station.
Yes.
And at 7:20 that day, Terell Ephron came into the station and made a complaint to you about an alleged shooting, right?
Yes.
And obviously that's a serious complaint, right?
Correct.
So it was important for you to be as careful in taking down this information as possible, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you memorialized that information in a written report, correct?
Yes.
In fact, that report was reviewed and approved by your supervisor, Officer Deneen, correct?
Correct.
Now, as detailed in your report, Mr. Ephron told you about an incident, if you just described it, that occurred on November 6, 2021 involving Mr. Mayers and 2 other people he identified as ASAP Ills and 12 people, right?
Yes.
Okay. And specifically, if you testified to this, Mr. Ephron told you that as he was approached by Mr. Mayers pulled out a gun from 5 to 10 feet away. Is that what he told you?
Yes.
Okay. In fact, the first page of your investigative report has a pre-printed box, which is called weapon, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's for you to identify any weapon that a complainant reports to you, correct?
Correct.
Right. And you made a note in that report of a gun, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, if a knife were involved in an incident, that's an important fact you would know, right?
Yes.
Right. And you didn't make any note of the knife in this case, either in that pre-printed box or in the narrative portion of your report, correct?
Correct.
And that's obviously because Mr. Ephron, when reporting to you what happened, didn't tell you that 12E displayed a knife to him during the incident, right?
He did not.
Right. In fact, Mr. Ephron made no mention of a knife being involved in this incident, correct?
Correct.
To the contrary, rather than displaying a knife, Mr. Ephron told you that 12E actually attempted to de-escalate the situation. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. And he told you that ASAP Ills also tried to de-escalate the situation, correct?
Yes.
Now, during your interview with Mr. Ephron, he also told you that he returned to the scene of the incident approximately an hour later.
Yes.
Is that right? And he gave you those 2 shell casings that he claimed to recover from the scene, the ones we just saw, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sustained is the word claim.
Okay. He gave you the 2 shell casings that he told you he recovered from the scene, right?
Yes.
Just so it's clear, Mr. Ephron told you he recovered those shell casings about an hour after the incident on November 6, 2021, right?
Yes.
Okay. And he didn't give them to you until 2 days later, November 8, 2021, right?
Yes.
Now, after you received the shell casings from Mr. Ephron, you requested that they be examined for latent prints.
I did.
And obviously, as an experienced law enforcement officer, you wouldn't have requested an examination that you knew would be useless. Am I correct?
Correct.
Right. So you requested that examination for latent prints because you understood that fingerprints can be lifted off shell cases, right?
Yes.
Right. Now, when speaking with Mr. Ephron on November 8th, 2021, he told you that he had a small scrape on his left hand from the incident, right?
Yes.
In fact, you saw a picture of it on the screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. And after him telling you about that small scrape and you seeing it, you clearly didn't see a need to get him an ambulance or some type of medical treatment, right?
Right.
Right. In fact, at that time, on November 8, 2021, you discussed with Mr. Ephron if any medical treatment, what if any medical treatment he already received for that small scrape. You asked him about that, right?
Yes.
And what he told you was, I just treated it myself on the day it occurred, right?
Correct.
Now, you were asked by Mr. Presnick about the reported statements that Mr. Ephron made to you, right?
Yes.
Okay. And to be clear, when Mr. Ephron made all of his statements to you, he had a civil lawyer standing next to him, right?
Yes.
Now, you said you asked Mr. Ephron why he waited 2 days to report the incident, and he told you it's because he wanted to have a lawyer present with him, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Ephron tell you that another reason he waited to report the incident is because he was attempting to contact Mr. Mayers' quote-unquote people, including his manager, Mr. Mayers' manager, trying to get money before he even contacted a lawyer? Did he tell you that?
No.
In fact, Mr. Ephron never told you that before coming to see you, meaning before he made his report to the police, that he had already texted a screenshot of the scraped fingers to Mr. Mayers' manager with messages saying that he, Mr. Ephron, was getting rich. He never told you that, right?
No.
Assumes facts and
I'm asking you,
overruled.
was told you. And the answer was he never conveyed that to you, right?
Correct.
Right. In fact, Mr. Ephron also did not tell you that before coming to the police, he had already sent a text message to his own business associate saying, quote, I want to get this N-word's money, referring to Mr. Mayers. He never told you that either, right?
Right.
And Mr. Ephron also did not tell you that before making his report to the police, before he came to you, Mr. Mayers texted him that Mr. Ephron was trying to extort him, that Mr. Ephron should stop calling Mr. Mayers' manager, and that Mr. Ephron should call the police. He never told you any of that, did he?
He did not.
Thank you very much. I don't have anything further.
Thanks.
Mr. Sullivan, how long did you estimate your interview of Mr. Ephron was?
Approximately maybe 20 minutes.
And included in that 20 minutes, some of that time was in you actually writing down or documenting things on your report?
Yes.
Is your report a verbatim transcript of what Mr. Ephron told you or a summary?
A summary.
The gun that Mr. Ephron reported was pointed at him. Did he tell you what kind of gun it was? Meaning, was it a revolver or semi-automatic?
He just said black handgun.
Okay. Did you document something in your report that it was a specific type of gun?
I'd have to review the report.
What did he tell you?
It was a semi-automatic.
Okay. You were asked about latent fingerprints. How many times are you aware of latent fingerprints being lifted off of cartridge cases?
I wouldn't know the answer. How many times?
I mean, have you ever received a latent print report documenting fingerprints on fire cartridge cases yourself personally?
No.
Okay. I have nothing else.
Siegel?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Officer Anderson.
Thank you.
Next witness.
My next witness is Detective Flores.